Awesome. Everyone, welcome to Practical Chrome, the show dedicated to everything Chrome, whether that be Chrome on your Android device, your iOS device, your Linux box, your Windows box, or any other device that you might have that has Chrome on it. Welcome to the show. My name is John Oliphant, joining me every week and looking as lovely as possible, my two co-hosts, Craig Tumblison and James Welbus. Welcome, gentlemen. Craig, what is up, sir?
I think the joke is actually, what is up, dog? But the moment's passed.
No. The joke is, James, do you smell that? No, John, what's that? It smells like up dog in here. And then you say,
what's up, dog?
I don't know, dog. What's up with you? All right, James, how have you been, sir?
I've been better.
When you're not involved in a terrible joke? I got you. I'm with you. I'm a little sad, to be honest. Some sad and great news coming to Practical Chrome, guys. It's the end of an era. It's the end of an era, right?
I think you're using that word wrong.
Era?
Yeah.
Are you really going to break down the vocabulary?
No, I'm just curious as to why you think us hosting Practical Chrome constitutes an era.
Because I'm very self-obsessed.
Every episode feels like an eon. Maybe that's the word you're looking for.
That's messed up, James.
True.
Along with the Pixel 2 rumors, there's been other rumors circling around, kind of like the drain of a toilet, that Practical Chrome is going to be changing, right?
You mean right? Rumors you started?
I doubt that that's a rumor.
Yes, John. Yes.
Yes,
Chrome
exactly.
Is evolving.
I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So Practical Chrome, which is the show dedicated to everything Chrome, and which was started back in November of 2013, is going to be no longer, right? It's going to remain out there, but we're starting up something fresh, something more community-driven, and more based around Chromebooks themselves, which are really the bread and butter of the Practical Chrome. If we had bread or butter, it would be the nice little slathering there, right? Okay. So, Craig, why don't you tell them what the name of the site is and what the awesomeness is coming down the pike?
Absolutely, John. The name of the show is Chromebooks Today, and it will live at chromebooks.today. Yes, Virginia, that is a real domain name.
They don't have computers in Virginia.
All right, we're going to ignore that hate crime. The gist is that Chromebooks Today will be Practical Chrome, but shorter and with less jokes like the ones we just had. So it'll be a little bit more on topic, a little fewer rants, a little less out there.
I take umbrage with the rants comment, Craig, but go ahead.
Okay, rants are included, but you kind of have to assemble them yourself. Can we phrase it that way?
I guess.
Sure. All right, so that's the gist. We're going to aim... listeners, those of you that listen, you know that we typically go an hour and a half sometimes on this show. Chromebooks Today, we're going to shoot for 35 to 45 minutes, and I realize that's laughable, but we're going to shoot for that.
We can do it.
Yes, we can, James. Thank you. That's what we're going to shoot for. We are launching the first week of March, and next week will be the final episode of Practical Chrome. The final episode of Practical Chrome.
It's going to be a doozy.
That's right. I've got lined up. I've got cake. I've got prizes. I've got. There's going to be pony rides. It's going to be fantastic. Now it's going to be here, not where you guys are, but it's going to be awesome.
Definitely, and it's featuring a surprise appearance by Chevy Chase. In a stock
no
photo.
Chevy Chase.
Chevy
No
Chase may or may
Chevy
not be present.
It's going to be the reunion of Jon Stewart and and John Oliver.
Let's talk
Yes.
about Chrome.
Yeah, we should probably move on to talking about Chrome instead of plugging the Chrome podcast that we're starting 2 weeks from now, which we're claiming will contain less of this.
Less thing. Okay, so but again, everyone, Chromebooks.today,
Which is live.
which is live. It's a live website.
And
Head over
and later this week, you will be able to go ahead and subscribe to our RSS feed.
Exactly.
It's not live yet, but it will be later this week. Go ahead, John. Did I interrupt? I apologize.
So if you if you've been watching this show for the past year and a half or so, you'll know that the feed for Practical Chrome did die. It died on the vine. We are going to add the episode 0 of Chromebooks Today on there, just to have people head over to the new feed so that they can still listen to me, James, and Craig at Chromebooks.today. So again, everyone, just to reiterate, no funny business. Practical Chrome, next week's last episode. Then Chromebooks.today is the site you want to go to, and it's the show you want to listen to moving forward if you want the awesome sauce that is me, James, and Craig. So let's move on, guys, to things Chrome, right? Not necessarily podcast-esque, but Chrome-esque. So coming up in the news, right? So we've got a myriad of news items as well, some couple of little main topics to go over. Starting off with, and this one's from Chrome Story, Dinson over Chrome Story. Chromebooks will soon automatically set the time zone based on location. I mean, I would say that this time has come. IP location basing has been around for many years. So I think that this was it's a win-win. It's easy, it's simple, it's quick. It should have been there for a while. Craig and James both. I mean, is there much to add to that? I mean, it's honestly, it should be there. We saw last week about the HTTPS. If your clock is off, you're going to get some shenanigans going on. You're going to get some warnings, some not good things. I think this is just a no-brainer.
I'm trying to find it, but if I remember correctly, one of the primary reasons this wasn't already a feature was an issue with privacy. Because when you're dealing with the out-of-box experience, the first time a user interacts with Chrome OS, it's difficult to let the user agree to what information they're willing to share with Google, things like an IP address used to determine location, before they see a clock. So I think that may have been one of the driving concerns here. I have to double-check that, but I think it was, which does make a lot of sense when you really think about it. But the reality is, people shouldn't have to think about that. It should just work. So I'm glad to see we're finally moving in that direction.
James, I think that privacy aside, I don't think that I give a hoot about my IP in the very beginning when I log into a machine, but that's because, I'm not a criminal. Otherwise I'd be using a Linux box, and if I wanted to do criminal or maybe a Windows box where I could change the time whenever I wanted to.
Are you saying Windows users are criminals? Because I'm totally behind that.
Well, let's be fair. I initially said Linux box because that's where all the hackers come from. But yeah, I don't think this is this a big deal?
No, I mean it says automatically, but you still have to check the box that says determine automatically. So it's kind of manually automatic.
So there you go. All right. So, okay, privacy people, which I'm down with privacy, but what can you do? Next up, just because that was a non-story, Chrome app launcher gets Google Doodles. So now I lost my pen. So I need something to play with. So Google Doodles, which we all know and love, right? So let's say it's the 4th of July here in the U.S. Let's say it's Bastille Day in Canada. Does Canada celebrate Bastille Day? Yes. You're going to get a Google Doodle that's updated daily about what's going on in your country, whether it be a holiday, the birthday of a famous inventor of your country. You're going to get this awesome doodle. So the doodle is now available on the new tab page, which is coming soon, as well as the app launcher. Now, guys, I had actually turned it off. I read this article by Dan Sign Over Chrome Story, and I'd done like a power wash or two, and I hadn't turned it on in a while. But I really like the center-based app launcher that actually has the Google Doodle or the large just Google logo in the search bar as the main app launcher. I really actually enjoy that a lot, and the experimental one or whatever. So that's where the doodles show up. Of course, in the app launcher, if you're just using a standard app launcher on stable, you're not going to get the doodle. But I think this is really cool myself, just because I'm a Google guy. I like the Google stuff. I like the Google Doodles. James, I mean, have you even seen it in the app launcher?
I have seen the new app launcher. I enabled the flag on both my devices. I don't see the doodle yet. I don't know if that's coming. I wasn't really sure what the article was saying. If the article was saying that the new app launcher is only available on dev if you don't enable the flag, or if the doodle portion of it is only available on dev. I'm not on dev, so I had to enable the flag. So the app launcher works, but I don't see the doodle. I just see the standard Google logo, so I don't know if I'm supposed to see the doodle or not. But I like the new app launcher. It performs the same function as it did before. You still hit the search button to bring it up, and then you type the app you want to open and you hit enter. Some people are complaining that now there's one more button click in between them and seeing a list of all their apps, which I guess it's a valid complaint, but I think this is going to get them more used to just searching for the app by typing it and hitting enter, which is honestly easier than cycling through all your pages to find the app, because they're not organized alphabetically. They're just in there randomly. So it's actually much quicker and easier to just search for it, but some people are still used to clicking the app launcher, scrolling through all their apps, and clicking on the one they want to open. So I have seen a few complaints about it, but I think overall the feedback has been positive.
Craig, what about you? I mean, have you enabled the middle launcher with the doodle?
I have not. I am one of those people James described. It's not that I mind the extra click. For me, it's it being in the middle of the screen. I usually open my app launcher by clicking in the bottom left, so then I have to move my mouse all the way to the middle of the screen versus just up a row or two at the bottom. But I don't open my app tray that often. I have most of my pinned apps are the ones I use the most. I think it's just something I'm going to have to get used to. As for the Google Doodle, it's okay. Fun fact, and maybe it's not so fun, but the wallpaper app was originally supposed to offer a doodle feature where your wallpaper would change daily based on a Google-decided drawing or image, whether it would be famous art or something like that, but that never materialized. So it'll be interesting to see doodles make their way into Chrome OS kind of in this other way. But it doesn't have a lot of effect on me. I like the doodles. I have to admit I don't see them very often because I don't go to google.com much anymore. But having them built into App Launcher, I'll get to see them more often.
Agreed. And I have one thing to say in regard to the App Launcher itself. I had not enabled that flag, like I said before. I had not enabled it. But this is gonna sound terrible, but when Windows 7 first popped up, I was a huge Windows key fan. And Linux has a number of apps as well, that like Synapse, in Ubuntu, you've got the lenses. When you hit the Windows key, or in this case on a Chromebook, you just hit the search key, which of course is the caps lock key for those that don't know. It brings up your app launcher right away, right? And like what James said, if you're the type of person that's constantly on the home row and maybe you're just using your thumb as your mouse, hitting that search key and then just typing like PI and seeing Pixlr right there and then just hitting Pixlr, because like James said, them not being really in much of an order. I'm a home row guy. I love the IBM ThinkPad because they have the track point that allows you to stay on the home row at all times. You just basically never have to get off of it. So I really do enjoy the Doodles and the all that good stuff. But I really like that it's the center mounted. Craig, I think you should just kind of get into that habit. I think it's what the cool kids are doing these days.
Well, gosh, jolly gee, I guess I'll have to get on that, John.
I actually forced myself to get used to it because I realized how slow it was. Because I also used to just click the button in the bottom left corner, and then I would just cycle through all my pages. And I always knew that I could just hit the search key and type for an app, but I wasn't used to doing it. And so, but now I've actually gotten to the point where I've trained myself. When I want to open an app, the first thing I do is just hit the search key, type PI like you said, or PS for Photoshop, hit enter, and it opens up. So it's easy. So I like the new launcher. I should say, I mentioned that I couldn't see the doodle. I went to google.com just now, and they don't have a doodle, so...
yeah, there's no doodle today.
That's why I wasn't seeing a doodle.
That's right. All right, well, that's pretty good stuff. Next up, and this is actually like some exciting stuff in regard to the file manager in Chrome OS, is due to get an update. So if you're the type of person that likes updates, which I love a good update, the Chrome OS file manager, so to speak, or if you want to call it a file manager, or if you want to call it something else, it basically, the file manager inside of Chrome OS, it is getting updated with a material design look. Which if you use a Android device higher than 4.0 or 4.2 or whatever it is, you're going to be very comfortable with material design. I'm excited about this. I know that it's something small, but Craig, you've seen the pictures over there at OMG Chrome. The dev channel is getting it. If you're on the dev channel, you're going to see it. See the material design file manager. Have you seen it, Craig? I don't know. With all your systems, I don't know if you've got one in dev mode, or not dev mode, but dev channel.
I've actually used it on Canary. It's pretty slick. The animations are great. They may have gone a little overboard with the animations. Every click has the ripple effect, things like that. It's neat, but it also doesn't quite feel finished. And I think they're probably still revising it. I don't think they're just calling it done. I know there's still a lot of activity on the ticket, especially around tree navigation on the left panel. So it's a preview. I would consider it a preview on the dev channel. I like the initial view, though. It's pretty slick. Animations are a nice touch. Color scheme, you either love it or hate it. And that's kind of where we're at.
James, the color schemes come up a couple times on the show, as well as inside the community, talking about the material design color scheme. I don't know if you've had a chance. I'm not on dev channel. I'm on beta, so I haven't seen it yet. But do you have any thoughts on the material design inside the file manager?
Well, you know me, John. You know I'm the grumpy guy that hates things. I won't say that I hate material design, but I am not nearly as excited about it as everybody else in the Chrome community seems to be. The material design sort of theme seems to be, let's make it look prettier by removing information off the screen and making, for instance, Inbox is completely material design. And when you compare Inbox next to Gmail side by side, you're looking at about 5 times as many emails in the Gmail interface as you are in Inbox. Inbox looks pretty, but they sacrifice information for that. And when I look at the screenshots for the app, not the app, the Files app. It looks like it's going to be kind of the same thing. They're going to have the little circle thumbnails next to each file, which means they're not going to be able to get as many files on the screen at once. So I know it sounds stupid, but I kind of prefer the standard list view. I don't really need to see a little thumbnail next to every file, and if I really do want to search for my files by thumbnail, I can click the button in the top that switches from list view to thumbnail view. So honestly, I think I will probably not enjoy the material design update for the Files app, but that being said, it's not terrible. I mean, it looks nice, and the circle icons, they're not huge, so you'll still get a decent amount of, apps on your screen there. But I'm just thinking about my little 11-inch Acer with not full HD. I'm not going to, in material design, I'm not going to get a whole lot of apps. I'm going to have to do a lot of scrolling if I want to find apps. Not a big deal, but just something that I noticed in Inbox, and it looks like it's going to be the same in the Files app.
I'm with you. So what's funny about the Files is that it's a go-to app for literally every single person, and it kind of reminds me of what you said about the fact that you should hear the debates when it comes to the Files app inside of Linux, right? Because you have different open source teams that are making like these awesome applications that you're able to manage your files with. And to talk to different people, whether they're using the KDE version, I can't remember the names right now, but it's so funny. The material design version, honestly, is very limiting. It's very touchscreen-esque because of the material design. You get the big button to just add a file. You use your finger to just tap that plus key on the screen. It's very interesting because I think about all of the times that I've heard the arguments about what file app to use on Linux, especially back in the day, because they would add features left and right, and then here we are with Chrome OS. James, like what you said, kind of limiting a little bit, like what you can do. It's very interesting. So anyway, yeah, Files app, not super exciting, but yet it's a change, and it's going to be big. So look for it coming down the pike. It's just a preview, like Craig said, and we'll take a look when it comes down my way. Hopefully on beta soon. Chrome Smart Unlock. Guys, we've talked about this a couple times. Actually, we talked about this, I think, like 6 months ago, when this really started to become a thing with being able to take your Android phone, thusly like I have here.
On Lollipop.
What's that?
It has to be on Lollipop.
It doesn't.
5.0.
Okay. Yeah, let's take that out of the conversation for a second, because otherwise you're just going to piss me off. Because I have a Moto X first generation and no Lollipop. But we discussed last week, maybe it was the week before, but anyway, we've talked a couple of times about the fact that if I have my phone on me, right, it's in my pocket. I keep it in my pocket, and it's if I leave it next to my Chromebook, or what if I keep it in my pocket at all times? So you've got that whole thing with trusted device, unlocks your Chromebook, no need for a password. Is this a good idea or not? Now, then they add when it's within arm's reach, which is interesting because I've actually had the opportunity to play with a device that's 3 feet. The Bluetooth is enabled. Like literally, I don't know whether they've turned the radio down or like the gain on it, or I don't know how that. I'm not going to pretend to know what that is, but I think this is pretty cool. Craig, we talked about this again. Like I said, we've talked about it multiple times. 3 feet or within arm's reach, I think is actually a good number for this type of feature.
I agree. My understanding is that this will be configurable by the user. You'll be able to decide what range you're comfortable with, and I think that's the ideal situation. We know Google tends to do release and revise, so this feature is currently in beta, but it is available without this closer proximity edition. So Google responded to the feedback. They said, hey, we hear that 30 feet may be a little bit too wide of a range, so we're going to let you pick your own. And I think that's probably for the best. Personally, I'm still not comfortable even with a foot, but
A foot?
even with a foot, John, I don't like the idea.
Unlock.
I want NFC unlock, really. I want it near field communication where, unless it's physically tapped, it doesn't unlock. I'm just not as comfortable with Bluetooth as a technology. I feel like it almost doesn't matter whether my phone is within 1 foot or 30 foot. If I have easy unlock with Bluetooth enabled, Bluetooth is the vulnerability there. And like John, I'm not going to pretend to know nitty-gritty details, but I'm just not as comfortable with that. But I definitely think that a lot of people will trade the convenience factor for the security factor, especially if they can reduce it down to 3 feet. That makes it perfect for office environments. You walk away to the restroom, your computer locks. You walk down to the lunchroom, your computer locks. I can see this being mandatory in a lot of corporate environments.
There you go. James, Craig kind of poo-pooed it, and I can totally understand why he did, because especially for security concerns. But for the average Joe, right? For the average guy that, or gal, Josephine, that just wants to be able to hold their device and walk over their computer and everything work. Craig, and real quick, Craig, I actually totally agree. Bluetooth is one of those things where, like, I haven't done the research enough, and I know that there's vulnerabilities there, so I'm like, you're right. I totally agree. But James, for the everyman, 3 feet is a good deal. It's really cool that they're giving you the configuration ability with that distance.
Yeah, it's definitely 30 feet is ridiculous. I mean, that's just, when I'm at Starbucks, the bathroom is less than 30 feet away from most of the tables. So, I wouldn't want to leave my Chromebook unlocked. I don't even like leaving it out there. I almost take it into the bathroom with me, but I figure it's only $200 and it's locked, so whatever. I certainly wouldn't want to leave it just sitting there unlocked for anybody to hop on and do nefarious things. So the fact that they're cutting it down to 3 feet, I think, is just, it probably should have just been that way. Maybe they were already planning on doing that. I feel like it should have just always been that way. NFC would be cool, but honestly, I know people are going to complain about that because they're going to be like, oh, I have to take my phone out of my pocket. Oh, God. You just know it's going to happen. And it's going to happen on some place where it's not even supposed to happen. That's another story. So when I sit down at Starbucks, I take my phone out of my pocket anyways. So I'm with Craig. I would like the NFC. I just think that would be probably the best way to do it. Just tap my Chromebook real quick with my phone, and it unlocks for me. But cutting it down from 30 feet to 3 feet is a huge improvement that I think is completely necessary. It had to be that way.
Great. I do appreciate the fact that you're like, oh, like I have to take it out of my pocket. Like, that's exactly what you picture these people saying when they go. I'm like not just lazy. I'm like uber lazy. So, and that's just kind of the way that they sound in our brains. So now on to some Chromecast really cool news. And that is that VLC 3.0 will feature Chromecast support. So let's bring everybody back to reality for a second and say, what is VLC? So VLC is actually like the media player available for every single platform available, whether it be Android, iOS, I think it's on iOS, Mac, Linux, and of course Windows. It's literally the media player. It does things like, rip tracks out of video for you. It can change the format of a video, or it can just literally play any video or audio track that you'd ever come across. That's VLC. That's the one you might not You might not know you know about it, but you might have seen it on someone's computer as a little traffic cone. Traffic cone's the icon. This thing's going to have Chromecast support. Craig, Chromecast support coming from VLC. Is that not just like the sexiest thing you've heard all year?
I am cautiously optimistic, as usual. Joey notes on OMG Chrome that this was found in basically a Git repo comment where they're detailing the differences between version 2.2, the 2.2 series, versus the 3.0 release, and one of the features is going to be streaming output via a Chromecast output module. Details obviously are still very blurry and fuzzy. We don't know whether VLC will be able to do some transcoding or whether it'll just be able to output videos that are already in formats that Chromecast can understand. All of these questions will be answered at some point, but for now, all we can do is speculate. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I would love to see VLC be able to do transcoding for Chromecast. I use VLC. People love it for a reason, John. It'll play just about anything you can throw at it. And to have Chromecast support would just be phenomenal.
Agreed. James, you've actually been running Crouton lately. I don't know if you've had a chance to hit the VLC or not, or if you've got that on your Android device. What are your thoughts on the on VLC and the Chromecast support?
Well, it's kind of a non-story for me. I don't use Windows. Haven't used it for a long time. I literally installed Crouton so that I could play a video game that needed Java. So I don't use Crouton for media. You know, it really is just a non-story for me. I didn't even know what VLC was until that episode several months ago where we talked about VLC for some reason, and because I've been Chrome OS for about 3 years now, so I don't know. It sounds cool.
Well, it is cool. And so James, it is literally like the video player for definitely all of the Linux community and a lot of Windows diehards who know what to look for. Windows Media Player is good and all, but VLC will play literally anything you throw. You could throw any video format, and it'll take care of it. I'm with you. So that's cool. Again, VLC 3.0 could, because of the change notes coming through, that they're going to have a bundle in there that will allow Chromecast support. Super awesome. The next story article apparently has a byline by Craig Tumblison, and I don't know who that guy is, but maybe our Craig could handle that question.
That was sad, John. I'll overlook it for you.
Look, I'm just looking for a little bit of Bitcoin.
Sure. If you happen to be using the Chrome Canary channel, because you're a savvy user, which happens to be our entire demographic on this show, by the way, you may have discovered recently...
Don't make fun of the demographic, Craig.
Oh, I'm not.
Demographic.
I'm not. I'm a listener of this show.
Are you? Do you listen to the show, Craig?
I catch
Someone's got to.
I catch the repeat.
Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, if you happen to be running the Canary channel and you've done a recovery lately, you may have discovered that it's very difficult to get back. That's because the Chromium team has actually changed the command line that you need to enter in order to switch to the Canary channel. As the result of some digging, we can kind of assume that basically you have to recover into Canary now. So it actually brings up the prompt that says, do you want to power wash and restart? But no power wash actually takes place. It's all very technical, trust me. But the gist is the command changed a little bit, and I've got a link to it on Google+. So if you're a Canary user, this will get you right back to Canary if you need to recover in the near future.
Thanks, Craig. James, you're not running any Canaries, are you?
I try not to.
So, just for those out there, we just talked about earlier in the show. We talked about the dev channel. I said that I was on the beta channel. Above that is the stable channel, which means that you're running the Google, not just Chromium, but the Google stable channel release of Chrome OS. Canary is literally that. Like, the canary goes into the mine, and if the canary comes out, everything's good, right? So canary is like literally you are testing, on the very, very bleeding edge. Like, we're talking like daily bleeding edge versus dev channel. So if anybody is interested in that, check out Craig's post. That's going to be Craig Tumblison at the Google Pluses. Check him out. He's got all the information. I would say there'd be show notes and a link, but I'd be lying. So let's get on to the next story. Craig, I know you wrote that, so what? Of course, I'm looking at show notes in Google Docs, and Craig wrote something that says, you no longer need a tab open to use Google Play Music Mini Player. Now, I don't... You guys know that I'm not a huge music fan, but... Craig, the mini player, what?
Sure, I'll explain this one, John.
Yeah, elaborate for us, would you?
Happy to. So, as some people will remember, there are two separate Google Play Music apps in the Chrome Web Store at the moment. One of them is a bookmark to the Google Play online website, and the second is a mini player. The mini player is required if you want to upload music to Google Play, which is now also available in ARM. But this specific change allows the mini player to operate independently of needing to have a separate tab open in order to play music. In the past, the mini player really had to have a tab open in order to pull down the music and play it. We're finally past that point, and we're getting a little bit closer, though we're not there yet, to a full-blown music player app. No additional information on that other than that code hint that Joey found over at OMG Chrome months ago that suggested that a full player was in the works. But it is suggestive that they've gone ahead and removed the requirement to have an extra tab open.
I'm with you. So, like, right now on my screen, I'm showing the mini player, right? So what you're saying is no new tab needed. Is that correct?
Correct. Now, there may be an update that you haven't applied or something like that, but go ahead and try closing the music tab.
All right. James, what are your thoughts, sir?
I am not sure what the point of the mini player is. So I've
Really?
never used it. Yeah, I've never used it. I open it up right now, and the only option I have is I'm feeling lucky radio. I don't see any way where I can search for music.
Wait.
So I'm not even sure what. I just use the bookmark to music.google.com. I am an all access member, so as long as I have internet connection, I can listen to whatever I want that way. So I don't know. Not really sure what the point of it is, so don't really use it.
So James, if you look at it, right? So all right. So if I hit play on mine, right, it's going to take me to my music, and then I think that if let's see here, because I really do like the mini player, right? It's got like a whole like I don't know why I like it, because you're right. It does have. Okay, I'm noticing that it doesn't have functionality.
What do you do? What do you do with it? All I can do is hit play, and I'm not sure what it's going to start playing when I click that.
Well, no, you can go ahead and play. It'll come out of your speakers, whatever you play. Because like right now, I can actually hear my song, but I know that it's not getting to you guys.
My question is, what is it going to play? Like I just have a little box. There's a dice in the middle.
Well,
It says I'm feeling lucky radio, and there's a play button. When I hit that play button, I don't know what's going to happen. What is it going to play? Am I going to
just go with the just hit the button, James. Hit the button.
I did,
I know what
and
happens.
it started playing Nina Simone jazz as played in an exclusive side
Nina
street
Simone,
club.
that's nice, dude.
I don't know why
That's like good music.
played that.
That is a frightening insight into James's taste in music.
How is that even my? I didn't even choose that. I just hit play, and that's what came up.
Like, look, I first learned about Nina Simone on the Cosby Show, okay? Because that is some good music right there, okay? So let's.
First time I ever heard Nina Simone was 30 seconds ago when I said it. I don't know why it's playing. I just hit play, and the dice went away, and this album came up, and now it's playing Nina Simone. So I literally don't get I don't know what this mini app is for. I can't choose music to play. I can't search for anything. There's just a play button, and I guess I just get what I get. Google decides what I'm going to listen to.
Oh, now I know that if you go to music.google.com, and then you open up your music store, that you will. I think that you can launch the song from the mini player. Although I don't. No, they're like linked, right? So you have the mini player is actually linked to your current. So like if I go to just the thumbs up list, because I don't have all access, I can see how that works. Okay, I'm down. I'm down. I understand it. And
That makes one of us. 'Cause I still
and
don't get it.
James, listen to some Nina Simone and just relax. All right. So next up is going to be some. So there's a question there. Is Roku adding Google Cast support, making it more Chromecasty? This is, of course, over. This is with Dinson over Chromestore.com, which you're going to want to check out. Again, Chromestore.com. Check out this article. James, what's it all about?
It sounds to me like you have the option, finally, instead of paying $35 for a Chromecast, now we can pay $120 for a Chromecast that has a Roku logo on it.
No.
So, wait, I was going to say, what?
Maybe I misread that.
You either blew my mind or I'm insane.
No, neither, actually.
I was going to go with both.
I don't know about I might be insane. Go ahead.
Well, this is actually an evolving story. It started out with the top contributor in the Chromecast forum reporting that their Roku showed up when using the Google Cast extension. Dinson ran with that, but thankfully a few people over on Google Plus stopped by to correct him and clarify that it's not actually Roku adding Chromecast support. It's a similar spec called Dial that's been around for a while, and it's supported by YouTube, Netflix, and a few other products and services and devices. And basically, the way Dial works is it allows devices to communicate with each other, similar to Chromecast, but without all of the Google restrictions. So, yes, it's true that Roku does show up when using Google Cast for certain products and services. It's not a catch-all solution. This is not Roku adding Google Cast support. It's a select service, in this case YouTube, happening to work correctly because of a secondary compatibility layer. So don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. That's the takeaway here.
And it's pretty hacky. Like I read what you have to do to get your Roku to cast a YouTube video via Google Cast. It's kind of hacky.
Yes, they have to. You have to change the. Well, you may have to change the setting on your Wi-Fi router to 5 gigahertz, depending on whether or not you already have that. It's a process. It's a process.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
My when I connect my phone to Bluetooth, when I play Google Music, the cast button fills in and turns blue as if I'm casting to Google Cast. And if I tap on it, it'll say that I'm connected to Bluetooth. So I always thought that was kind of weird. So then I saw, oh, maybe I can tap that and select my Bluetooth speaker on the list with my Chromecast. No, I can't do that. So that just kind of got me excited about nothing. But I thought it was strange that Bluetooth connection causes that cast button to turn blue and fill in as if I'm casting. I don't know if anyone else ever saw that.
I think Lollipop may let you cast to Bluetooth from that menu. I seem to remember doing that before. I can't remember, it might have been in a rental car or something. I don't use Bluetooth for speakers a lot. But yeah, I seem to remember just being able to open up the cast menu and select a Bluetooth device. And maybe it's only certain phones, maybe only certain speakers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think it would make sense. It'd be cool to be able to do that. Maybe if I ever have a Lollipop device, I'll give it a shot.
All right, if we can get it to work, that's all I really care about, is making it happen. I think it's the Google Cast. I think that's the big deal there. Is that the Google Cast piece? Is that a correct assumption? I think, versus the whole Chromecast versus Google Cast. Is that not right?
No. The assumption here is that it's working by magic and magic alone, and this is not a Google Cast thing. This is just a symptom of an underlying technology called Dial that happens to be present. This is not an adoption of Google Cast by Roku.
I think we'll see Spotify support Chromecast before Roku does it.
What kind of odds can you give me on that?
3-1.
We'll talk after the show.
I'd like to place a bet at this point. All right. So next up is we're going to jump into some main topics real quick. Let's jump into the big one. Whoa, Craig, really?
I feel like because we've had listeners comment and say that and ask us why we haven't talked about this one, maybe we should wait and next week talk about it, the last show and all.
Yes. Make them wait.
Leave them wanting more.
Just for complaining. If they would have complained, we'd talk about it.
A to-be-continued episode. Really? Wow.
It's your show, John. Do what you want. Just remember, I can hit stop broadcast.
That's right. Here's what we'll do. Here's what we're going to do. Let's do this. I'm gonna name the 3 stories, and then I'm gonna go quickly over some stuff really quickly, and then what we'll do is we'll start on the top one, and then if we want to go to the next one, we will. Okay, here we go. The main topics of this episode we're gonna be how many lines of code is in Google Chrome. And that's actually the title of the episode is actually the actual number with a caveat. The next one is, I don't know if it's Samus or just Samus, which I think is based on the, and Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they're naming them off of the characters from Nintendo video games. Shit, that's terrible. Which Samus or Samus is the character of Metroid, if I'm not mistaken. I could be like way wrong, but one of them was Link. Link was the original. And that's right, the Pixel model. So everything's all right. This is the problem with Google Docs. There's just too much collaboration and coordination. Exactly. So the next thing is that the 2-in-1 Chromebooks, and my comment on this is that I literally just like threw up in my mouth a little bit when I say 2-in-1 Chromebooks and Android and Chrome OS being on the same device. I literally throw up in my mouth a little bit. Speaking of that, and again, this is my only opportunity, right? James said it's your show. Joey from OMG Chrome, if we noticed last week, he did not post anything last week. I think he might have posted like one thing. And that's because Ubuntu sent him over to an event where he got a free Ubuntu phone. Did you see that, Craig?
I did not, and I did not get a message from him bragging about it, so something's obviously wrong.
Yeah. He was at the event, from what I understand, from the rumors that I've heard. He was at the event, and Ubuntu has launched their phone, which is pretty cool, and that's one of the reasons why he was pretty silent last week. So awesome.
Was he silent because the Ubuntu phone doesn't work?
No, I think it's exciting is what it is, because it actually is their launch. They've been talking about a phone for 2 years. They talked about convergence, being able to have like Ubuntu on your desktop and then Ubuntu on your phone, and everything just work all seamlessly. And not that they've abandoned that piece, but they've kind of gone the way of let's create, Ubuntu on a phone, and you can even get to the command line on your phone. So you're really running Ubuntu, but not necessarily having that convergence piece that I've seen so far. But
I'd rather just have a Chrome OS phone that I could put Crouton on.
That's right. No need for Crouton on this one. Definitely check out OMG Ubuntu, which is his Ubuntu site, Joey's Ubuntu site. If you want to see a little bit more about that, I'm sure that he's got. I don't even know if he's got anything up there yet about that. I just heard that he was on there. No, I could be wrong. But my point is that the whole thing with the 2-in-1. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about the lines of code, right? Let's just jump on the first one. And that is 5,448,668 lines of code are in Google Chrome.
And counting.
And counting. Good point. I did use the one with the comments, and some people would say, well, that's not the code that's actually functioning. Well, when you need a human to read it or a human to debug it, the comment lines actually mean they're the most important thing. And you'll need a human to debug it and to read the code. So I always take the one with the comment lines as the actual production version. I know that there's possibility that they remove comment lines to ship, but I think the comment lines are actually incredibly important. So I use the 5,448,668 lines of code. I think it's important to realize, this is from Dinson over Chrome Story, and I think this is actually an important story and a main topic because of the fact that that's 5 million lines of code go into the application that we use every day, we love, and Google does provide for free, and is open source. So I think that they talk about the fact that Dinson talks about the fact that there's 7,264 files that are used. He also mentions that when we break open, Chrome OS, you're actually looking at, probably 3 times that, because you're looking at the kernel itself, which is provided by the Linux Foundation and Linus Torvalds. It's amazing how much, free code you're using. And so I think that's just pretty cool. Craig, any comments on that? 5 million lines of code inside of Chrome.
Well, John, I prefer to count without comments, so I will do the same and leave mine at the door.
Okay.
Okay, give me credit for that. That was an attempt. All right. Yeah, it's a lot of code, John, and stacked end to end, I bet it would go around the Earth 6 or 7 times. It's just a lot of code. As a non-developer, it's easy to make these numbers just, it's 5 million lines of code, so what? But yeah, that's a lot of work that was put into this, and you're right, it comes from so many different libraries and projects. It's kind of amazing that anything works at all.
good point.
I can't get a Chrome or a WordPress website with 50 lines of code to work.
I was going to say, when we talk about web pages, we're talking like usually under 200 lines of code, unless you're looking at a WordPress site, and then it looks like a lot of lines of code, but or like even I'm just saying. I gotta have Craig. You have to have comments. When you go to debug code, you've got to have the source and you've got to have comments. Because if you don't have comments, it's like reading. It's like reading the Bible or philosophy or the Quran, right? Where you have to like literally try and extrapolate what they're trying to do with the code, and then you have to jump around to the different parts of the code where like the storyline actually falls. But if you had comments to be like, this does this for this reason, don't change that, right? Like literally comments like that, where if you don't have those, you have to literally relearn the entire application sometimes, or that piece of it. So if you have comments, I think comments are incredibly important. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I definitely agree. By the way, I was joking earlier, or attempting to, as was made clear. Yeah, you're right. When I go through and I go digging for something, the comments are completely just so valuable. And I mean, you're also right that especially if someone switches, you bring in a new developer, being able to hit the ground running to some degree by being able to take a look at a file and say, all right, so this kind of makes sense, and this I'm going to need to look into a little more later, is much better than opening up a file and saying, none of these variables are named correctly. They're all just named after planets or dogs, and going from there. Because I'm sure we've all seen code samples that are formatted that way.
It's true. Disney characters, planets, you name it. It's been done. Lord of the Rings characters. So, yeah, good deal. All right, so then next up was my little, like, the Samus. I don't know. Pixel 2, everyone. Here's the thing about the Pixel. It's $1,300. The point of a Chromebook is that it also has one of those like super awesome displays, which, Craig, you can immediately attest to, don't really work that well. So, when it comes to size, you know what I mean? Like, the size of the Chromium just doesn't scale well on that high of a resolution, right? So, Pixel 2 rumors, let's save them for next week. That's what we're going to say. We're going to say, let's save them for next week.
This guy.
James, what are your thoughts on the Pixel 2? Just so next week we'll do more, but what are your first impression?
I just hope it has a battery life better than 3.5 hours.
Okay, I can understand that.
I'm also curious, the screen on the last Pixel was super high resolution. Am I right? Was it as high as the Toshiba 2?
The original Pixel had a 4K display with a higher DPI than the MacBook Retina.
Did anybody complain about things being really tiny on the Pixel?
No, they did a lot of work for scaling to work properly on that. The only complaint related to the display is there was some ghosting issues where you would move a window or text would change and you would still see a faint version of it. Unfortunately, that's not an issue that the team is going to be able to fix. LG no longer makes that panel, so it kind of just is what it is at this point. It's not a major issue, but some Pixel owners did complain about it, so it's worth noting.
And that's something that had to be done. Scaling it to make it look nice had to be done by Google, right? That wasn't something that Toshiba could have done to make it.
Correct. And then the other thing is, I think the Pixel display I think it uses a little bit more of a standard resolution when it comes to scaling, whereas when you change the Toshiba 2 from 1080p down, it doesn't. I think something changes, so it's not like a perfect 2 to 4 or 4 to 2. It's like a 3 to 7 or something. It's a little bit different, so things aren't quite as pixel perfect.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know the biggest complaint about the Pixel was the price, but you know, the point of it wasn't to get a Pixel in every household. It was to show what can be done. So, I don't know. Samus, I expect if it really is a successor to the Pixel, I expect it to be another, you know, high-end, expensive. I don't see a lot that they could have improved on besides battery life. It had a great screen. Everybody loved the Pixel keyboard. It had a backlit keyboard, which people loved. I mean, apart from maybe the design, maybe they could improve upon, but most people liked the design of the first Pixel 2. So, personally, I'm not super excited. I'm sure it'll have, you know, an i5 or something processor, 4 gigs of RAM, if not more, really nice screen, that kind of stuff. But it's not something that will be within my budget, so I'm not super excited about it. But I am interested to see if they will surprise me, and if there will be something that really sticks out apart from the original Pixel. Because the original Pixel still, right now, is probably, money aside, the best Chromebook you can buy.
This is true. The Chromebook, the Pixel has always been like the creme de la creme of the you know, when it's the creme de la creme of Chromebooks, right? I've only held one time, and I literally was, guys, I can't even tell you. I don't know if you've seen one or not. It's something to behold because of the fact that it's like an iPhone 4, but in like, you know,
did you really do that?
I did, but you have to see it to understand.
You know, half our viewers. You just angered our entire viewer base.
No, I did not, because if you've held an iPhone 4 with the rounded, I mean, not the rounded, but the kind of the square rounded edges, I mean, this is what you have in a Pixel. You have like this ultra sexy, ultra thin, square but with rounded edges, beautiful device that's actually pretty light. Compact, small, but yet a decent device. I mean, yeah, the battery life sucks, okay, because it also has a wicked processor in it, everything you'd ever need from a laptop, but yet it's Chrome, right? So it's just amazing. So the Pixel thing is coming down the pike. Let's just put it that way, right? The Pixel thing, the Pixel 2, the rumors are flying around, and we'll cover it, whether it be next week on Practical Chrome or the week after on Chromebooks Today. We're going to cover that. It's coming down the pike. It's exciting news, and we'll take a look at it when we see it. Right? Right. I see nods at this point. So we're going to take it that way. The other thing was, and I launched into a little diatribe there for a hot second, which was the 2-in-1 Chromebooks this year with Android and Chrome OS. I hate it. James?
Yeah, I guess I don't really see the point of it. I don't know. It's just not needed.
There you go. Craig, just a real quick off the cuff, like a 2-in-1 device. It has Android and Chrome OS on it. It is from Digitimes. So, and I see that you put that.
Why are we even talking about it? You didn't tell me this was from Digitimes. I thought this was legit.
No, it's from Digitimes. Craig, do you want to talk about this?
I think implementation is everything. There was a Reddit user that pointed out that if you switch from Android to Chrome OS and they are separate operating systems, you will lose any unsaved work. which would be a horrible experience if you try to switch back and forth between them and you're losing files left and right. But I think if they were to put Android in some sort of shell or crouton-like environment where they shared the same hot kernel at any given time, and you could seamlessly switch between the two either with a keystroke or by detaching a keyboard or something, I think it would be an interesting experience. But I don't know that that's what's happening here. I think Digitimes, maybe they heard wrong, maybe they're making it up. Maybe there's a specific manufacturer that's going to put Android and a custom Chromium OS build. I don't know, honestly, but implementation is going to be everything. I'm not completely against the idea, but it's really going to have to impress me.
I think either way, it's a bad situation. If they do a crouton style, it's going to have to be really good hardware, I think, because it's going to be running 2 operating systems at the same time. So it's going to need to have good hardware. You hear people who put crouton on a 2 gigabyte, Chromebook, and they talk about how it lags and things like that. So there's either that or the other situation where they're completely separate, and then you have losing unsaved data and things like that. And I'm wondering, are they going to share the same downloads folder like Crouton does, or is it going to be 2 separate, Android downloads and all that kind of stuff? I think really it could be cool because I do own an Android tablet, so I suppose if they implement it really well, if I was able to push a button and my Android tablet turned into Chrome OS and synced with my Google account, so it was basically just like my Chromebook, my other Chromebooks, I guess I don't see a problem with that, but I think the device is going to be more money than I would want to spend because it's going to need to come with the keyboard, so we're probably talking about a $500 device when, with that kind of money I could buy my i3 Chromebook that I really want instead and still have money left over.
I think the other issue is size. When you look at like the Nexus 9, people are complaining that it's a little bit too big versus the Nexus 7, but no one's going to want a Chromebook that's less than 11 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be really difficult to hit a perfect size that fits both form factors reliably. Honestly, I think you're just going to end up appealing to such a small market that it's not really going to be worth it. But we'll talk more about it next week, I'm sure.
Agreed. So by the way, my extensive research. Well, let me down a weird path. Samus is Samus Aran, which
Samus.
is the Samus. I don't know. It is another Nintendo character, and I was correct. It's the character Metroid, which if you've ever played Metroid, it would surprise you to find out that the character that you're playing throughout the entire game is a woman. That's right. So that is the name of the board that Dinson talks about when he talks about the Pixel 2. All right,
John, you're literally the only person in the world who didn't know that.
Not true.
And it's okay. It's
not true. Craig.
Totally true.
Craig.
Yes.
Am I the only one?
Yes.
All right. So if you're not if you're one of me, which basically means that you're not with the times, you would know that all the boards are named after Nintendo characters and yada 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 yada. So next week is going to be episode 56 of Practical Chrome, episode that will mark the end of an era. Yes, an era. And Craig, besides Chromebooks.today, where can people find you, sir?
Listeners can find me on Google Plus, John, as well as Reddit and the Google product forums.
There you go, Mr. Welvis.
Well, John, if you watch this show and you're thinking, I just wish that there were more ways I could look at James's face on the internet, you can find me at chromebooks.support. Have some videos going over some basic Chromebook type stuff, and also some walkthroughs for people who don't want to look at my face but still would like to know how to do things.
I like it. I like it. Actually, I went to Chromebooks.support the other day and then looked at the virus one because I think it's funny. And you mentioned, and you do a really good write-up on the on why viruses are not necessarily like gonna happen. I mean, they're not impossible, but they're not going to happen, and what you probably are seeing and how to clean that up. I think that was a great post. Yeah, no problem. And so my name is, of course, John Oliphant, and this is Practical Chrome. PracticalChrome.com. The YouTube channel is where you'll see all the shows since September of 2014. Definitely check us out if you want to look at the backlog. But otherwise, we'll see you next week, where we'll cap off the end of an era. Thank you, Craig. And we will then start anew a week later with Chromebooks.today. Everyone have a good week, and we will see you next time here on Practical Chrome.
Au revoir.